נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מצה.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שער ירקות, שער ירקות. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור.
נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות איננו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים, בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים.
מכל הלילות, מה נשתנה הלילה הזה, מכל הלילות, שכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו שער ירקות. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שבכל הלילות איננו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה,
Hello everyone and welcome to Congregation Shaare Zedek. We are streaming live from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And we are about to proceed with the selling of the Chametz of everybody who signed the power of attorney allowing me, Rabbi Anibal Mas, to sell your chametz. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Reverend Peter Fast, who is the National Director of Bridges for Peace Canada, but I believe Peter not too much longer, right? National Director.
Not too much longer, about 8 months.
And then?
Moving to Israel. My family and I are moving to Israel January 2023, and I'm becoming the CEO of Bridges for Peace.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Great news. Well deserved. And you're probably familiar with the expression "kol hakavod."
Kol hakavod. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And I would like to introduce to our witness for today, Shari Zedek Executive Director Ran Yukashi. Good morning, Ran. How are you doing?
Good morning. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. And I'm looking here at the chat. We have Shelly Chochinov and Carlos Valerio. Carlos is connecting from Costa Rica. Shelly is here in Winnipeg. And so welcome everyone. And so the idea is, well, what this is, if you observe Pesach, you know what I'm talking about. We Jews are not allowed to have any chametz during Passover. Some people think that just you eat matzah, you're celebrating Pesach. Matzah is just a tiny little bit of the celebration of Passover. The most important mitzvah is to get rid of all the chametz. And chametz, by the way, unleavened products, not just bread, everything. That we are going to talk about that in a minute. So we can have it. So we have a few solutions. We can eat it before Passover, right? We can give it away. We can put in the garbage if it's something that we cannot give away. But sometimes there are things that we can't eat, put in the garbage, or give it away. So what we do is we sell it to a non-Jew, because non-Jews don't have the obligation or the prohibition of having chametz during Pesach. And that's been a tradition for forever. It's a rabbinic solution, and we are very grateful to the rabbis that came out with this brilliant idea to sell the chametz. Now, because as you are going to see in a minute, it's all the intricacies of how we do the selling of the chametz. The tradition is individuals don't do it, but they appoint a rabbi to do it on their behalf, just to be sure that they are doing it properly. Okay, so I do have a whole list of congregants that they signed the document allowing me to do it on their behalf. And it's my great pleasure to partner once again with Reverend Peter Fast from Bridges for Peace. That before we move any further, Peter, I have to ask you, are you Jewish?
Not at all.
You're Christian, right?
I'm a Christian. I am not Jewish.
Okay, so we can continue. That is something that has to be stated, and the witness has to hear it, and all the people on the internet that they are witnessing as well, they can hear it from your mouth. So before we go to the document, can you explain a little bit what is Bridges for Peace? Because let me tell you something. It's something very interesting. Being an evangelical organization, is endorsed by multiple rabbis around the world, including Orthodox rabbis, which is very unusual. Why is that?
Yes. Well, I think these are very unusual times. History has shown between Jews and Christians, definitely a lot of rocky roads, a lot of difficulty, a lot of major problems between Jews and Christians, mainly on behalf of the church, with anti-Semitism, with persecution in history, with strings attached to the relationship. And so Bridges for Peace started in 1976, and it's really part of a whole different movement of Christians around the world. I don't speak on behalf of tens of millions of Christians, but there are tens of millions of Christians that now support Israel. They want to stand with the Jewish people. They want to stand against anti-Semitism and reconnect with the Hebraic roots of our faith, and seeing that and believing that God is not finished with the Jewish people in Israel and still has a relationship with the Jewish people and Israel, an older one than the faith of Christianity, which for centuries, Christianity has tried to deny that and reject that. And so Bridges for Peace, I'm speaking on behalf of the organization. We are Christians supporting Israel and building relationships between Jews and Christians in Israel and around the world. We are a reconciliation ministry. We're not trying to change the Jewish people. We're not trying to coerce them into anything. In fact, our outreach is purely through compassion with no strings attached. And so we want to stand with the Jewish people, and then we also seek to educate and resource the church on history, the history between Christians and Jews, the honest history, which can be very difficult to understand and process. We also want to connect the church to Israel. We want to connect Jews and Christians together with respect and honoring our faith traditions without trying to change each other, but learning from each other in friendship, reconciliation, partnership, these sorts of things. And so we are hard at work with the church on the area of the Jewish people, the Jewish community in Israel. We do incredible programs in Israel. We're feeding over 23,000 every month. We are working with Holocaust survivors. We provide bomb shelters. We do all kinds of incredible work in schools, repairing homes. We've rescued over 88,000 Jews, Olim, who have we've been able to get them out of Eastern Europe. Right now, we're on the ground in Ukraine, rescuing hundreds, thousands of Jewish people and coordinating with synagogues. And this is all an effort of Christians and unconditional love. And this is something that's just unusual with the last 2,000 years. But we are committed. We are committed friends with no hidden agenda, no other string attached to this thing. We just we love God. We want to love what God loves. We love all people, of course, but our founder and foundation saw a disconnect between Christians and Jews that we wanted to bridge. And so working with Jewish leaders, rabbis, community organizers, people all over the world, we're in 8 countries, and then we're internationally based in Jerusalem. So we do some incredible work in Israel, and these are unusual, amazing times, we believe. And I honestly believe, despite our differences, God is bringing us together, and we're rising above those differences with a genuine friendship. And so this is our effort. It's going to take time. You can't just erase things that have happened in 2,000 years. It's going to take time and bonds of trust that need to be built, of course, in respect. But this is exciting. And so my family and we're committed to this. And we thank you. We love the Jewish community. We stand with Israel, and we want to partner with the Jewish community also in fighting the resurgence. I mean, it never went away, but what we're seeing with anti-Semitism around the world, this is both of our fight. This is not just the Jewish community to struggle as an island itself to fight anti-Semitism, to oppose this. We need moral non-Jews. We need people with a moral conscience to stand up. And as Christians, I mean, the connection we have is incredible and not to be ignored. And so it is such a privilege to be on this, to be part of this, Rabbi, for I think this is the third or fourth year now. We honor the Jewish community. We honor your leadership, and Ron Ukashi as well. And just thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you, and God bless your ministry, Reverend Fast.
Thank you.
So we are going to begin now with first I have to read the document out loud, and then at the end, Peter, you will say out loud if you accept the terms or not.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it now. I, the undersigned Rabbi Anibal Mas, have sold to Reverend Peter Fast, a non-Jew, from the hour listed below, all forms of Chametz. Okay, so Chametz are leaven or food mixed with leaven, prohibited during Passover, and suspected Chametz, whether my own or that anyone who has authorized me to sell their Chametz, as detailed in the Shtar Ha'arsha'ah. That's the power of attorney that I was mentioning before. That's the document that my congregant signed and sent to me, which has been given to me. whether food, specifically forms of grain and flours, baked goods, and all baking ingredients, etc., or drink, specifically hard drinks such as brandy, whiskey, cognac, and all varieties of liquor, and all forms of candy, chocolate, sweets. The chametz, which adheres to utensils in containers or clothing, all animals, large and small cattle, horses, birds, and fowl, would feed on chametz. Okay, so this is interesting. You're buying also our animals. And then, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to feed them with chametz. So we are going to feed your animals on your behalf for 1 week. And chametz, and the chametz and chametz mixtures with those who have authorized me have in partnership with a non-Jew, where the chametz mentioned is truly their own, or that for which they are responsible, even if responsible only for negligence, whether the responsibility is according to Torah law or civil protocol, or by dint of lawlessness, whether the chametz is with them in the house, the attic, in the cellar, or in a factory or store. So in other words, sometimes people, they have chametz at the offices. They don't want to remove it from there. It's so difficult. So we are selling you that as well. All the chametz, sometimes they have granola bars or things. Maybe sometimes it's in the common fridge, but that can stay there because now it's yours. Whether on dry land or the waters, whether in wagons or railroads, or in ships or in airplanes, all such chametz as listed above I have sold to the aforementioned buyer in a complete and absolute sale without retaining any rights whatsoever. As regard to the price of the chametz as listed above, I came to an agreement with the aforementioned buyer that everything will be assessed by 3 experts in assessment according to current prices. And in accordance with the assessment, the aforementioned buyer is obligated to pay the price after measuring such chametz as is normally measured, or weighing such chametz as is normally weighed. The assessment, measurements, and weighing will take place after the upcoming Pesach. May it come upon us with blessing. So in other words, we don't know. We don't know how much chametz we all have. I know that my congregants gave me permission to sell their chametz, but they didn't actually assess how much their chametz is worth. Don't worry. We don't have to know that now. We are going to get together after Pesach. And after Pesach, if you still want to go to continue with this transaction, we are going to do that process. Okay, we are going to get experts and they're going to tell me how much all the chametz is worth. Okay, but nothing is happening right now. As regards to the cost of the purchase, I will receive from the aforementioned buyer a total security of 20 Canadian dollars, and I established the remainder to be in the form of a loan. So all I need is your commitment of $20 as a down payment, okay? Which a date of maturity not to exceed 1 hour into the 23rd day of Nisan in the year 5782, corresponding to the 24th day of April in the year 2022, after the measure of weighting take place. Okay? And I declare unequivocally that I have rented to the aforementioned buyer my house located at, and I won't put my address on the internet, so I covered that. But your version, you have the address of my house. Mm-hmm. So, because basically what I'm doing is not just selling the chametz, by renting you my house that physically contain the chametz, is that we make this transaction kosher. Mm-hmm. So it's not just that I'm saying, chametz is yours. I'm also renting you my house and the rooms containing chametz. And by doing that, according to the rabbis, I am also renting you all the rooms of my congregants. Mm-hmm. So where they put the chametz during Passover. So this is in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, for him to store the utensils and movable goods as in the buyer's pleasure, for the sum of 20 Canadian dollars, from the 14th day of Nisan, the year 5782, corresponding to the 15th day of April in the year 2022. Okay, so that is today. Until the 23rd day of Nisan in the year 5782, corresponding to the 24th day of April in the year 2022. And by dint of the possession of the property, my house, right, rented to the buyer, I transfer to the buyers the movable goods as mentioned above. That's what I explained. By you taking possession of my house, you are taking possessions of everybody's rooms where the Chametz is stored. And I have also rented to the buyer all of the places where the aforementioned Chametz substances are for the sum of $2 Canadian per room. I don't know how many rooms are out there, but that is what you are going to owe me after Pesach. Okay? $2 Canadian per room. The aforementioned buyer has the authority to do with the Chametz whatever his pleasure. It's yours. It's yours. You can sell it, gift it, rent it freely, and also the buyer has the authority to take home the aforementioned immediately. But even if the Chametz remains whatever it is now from this time forth, all is within responsibility of the buyer, and I'm not longer responsible for it, including any unavoidable accidental damages. And the buyer has also agreed to accept the stipulation that if any loss of value occurs with the aforementioned Chametz, the sellers will be considered reliable in their account of how the loss of value occurred. And I, from my end, agree that even if the buyer does not pay the entire amount agreed to, as regard to the sale price of the Chametz purchased, and for which I have made a loan to the buyer, nevertheless, the purchase of the buyer remains valid. Okay? The sellers listed of my Harsha on the power of attorney have also authorized me to sell their Chametz, which was not in their possession at the time they authorized me to act as their agent in the sale, and have personally guaranteed me that this is their intentions. How is this possible? Let's say that they put an order on Amazon that hasn't arrived yet, and it contains Chametz, and it comes during Pesach because it's late. What do they do now? Right? Well, as soon as it arrives, it's yours. What if they forgot that they put an order and a box of chocolate comes? They don't know. It's Chametz that they are not aware that it's coming. It's on its way, but it's not there here yet. It's also yours. And sometimes it happens. What if the next door neighbor doesn't know you're Jewish and comes next week and said Happy Easter and put a box of chocolates outside? It's automatically yours. Okay? Let's see. I also hereby sell to the aforementioned buyer Chametz, which was not in the seller's possession at the time they gave me the Harsha, but now is in their possession. So it may happen that they got it in between the time that they signed the document and today there's also yours. Yeah. Because some people put in that Harsha, some people they list what they are selling. So there will be things that they are not there. Doesn't matter. And should there come into their seller's possession from the day and hour listed below any form of Chametz, they hereby sever all connection from that Chametz, rendering it ownerless. They do not wish to have any right or acquisition to such Chametz, even after it comes into their possession. And these sellers rent to the aforementioned buyer all the places where such Chametz is brought in from transport from the hour listed below until the 23rd day of Nisan of this year. And the buyer will acquire this Chametz and do with it as he pleases. Continue. Regarding the this is interesting. I will explain before I read it. I read it first. Regarding the containers in which there is Chametz, right? Like we're talking about pots, pans, and things like that, right? Because once you cook, the Chametz is there, even if you cannot see it. You can't clean it. There are certain containers that you cannot really clean it. But regarding of the containers in which there is Chametz, if they are containers which require no tevilah, immersion on the mikvah, when purchased from a non-Jew, they are hereby sold to the aforementioned buyer by dint of the acquisition of the aforementioned property. as they will be assessed by 3 experts in assessment as stated above. Okay, so there are certain materials that when you buy it new, something is brand new, for example, or used. Certain materials, before you use it, you have to take it to the mikvah. Certain others, you don't. Okay? If there is a material that we don't have to take to the mikvah, we sell the entire item to you. But what if it's a container that it has to go to the mikvah? You see, if I sell it to you and then I want to buy it again after Pesach, then I have to take it to the mikvah, which is a hassle. So in that case, what we are going to do, it says, if the containers, for example, things made with metal or glass, which require tevilah, require mikvah when purchased from a non-Jew, I do not sell them to the buyer. We are not selling those to you. Rather, I loan them to the buyer until the buyer removes the chametz from them. So I will loan them to you, but if you are able to come to my house and remove the chametz, in that case, it's yours. If you cannot, it's still your property because it's a loan, but because I'm not selling it to you, then if I get it back, I don't have to take it to the mikvah. God bless the rabbis for thinking of all these details. I wouldn't be able to come out with that, even though I am a rabbi. Okay. I have also transferred of ownership of all the chametz and the places mentioned to the aforementioned buyer by virtue of the delivery of this bill of sale now in his possession as proof of that transfer of ownership. It has also been explicitly stipulated that if there is any errors in the names of individuals or places as described in the list which I have given to the aforementioned buyer, the sale is not thereby invalidated. Okay, any type of mistakes, people put, when they gave me the power of attorney, they misspelled something. Maybe they live in an apartment and they forgot to put the apartment number. They just put all the things is still valid. We understand that their intention was to sell the chametz. It is within the authority of the aforementioned buyer to carry out the sale in accordance with the law of the land and in all of its details. The financial consequences which emanate from such action are the buyer's responsibility. It has also been stipulated with the aforementioned buyer that even if this document is binding only in Jewish law as opposed to civil law, because we don't know if this will stick in court, right? We don't really know. But we do it as detailed as possible. But hey, we don't know. But it's valid for Jewish law, according to Jewish law. That is for sure valid. Okay? Nevertheless, this sale of chametz is valid, and should there occur any disagreement between the aforementioned buyers and the sellers, we agree right now and obligate ourselves to litigate the dispute according to the law of the Torah as interpreted by the Winnipeg Council of Rabbis. Everything herewith stated has been thoroughly prepared in the most binding manner in accordance with the teachings of the sages. May their memory be blessed and should not be regarded as mere rhetoric or perfunctory legal form. And this is witness, this 14th day of the month of Nisan, the approximately hour of 11, it's 11:28, but approximately, in the year 5782, corresponding to the 15th day of April in the year 2022, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Okay? So, if we are all in agreement, I want you, Reverend Fast, to say so.
Yes. My name is Reverend Peter Fast, and I'm in complete agreement with this document.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ron, you witnessed this.
I have heard and understood Reverend Fast's agreement, and I understood the contents of the document as well.
Wonderful. Any questions? So the only thing that I want to make it clear, so the chametz is all yours.
Okay.
So basically, you can go to my house or any congregant's house and get the chametz, but that's the thing. Any chametz you eat, you have to pay for it.
Yes.
And then we are going to assess for the value of the chametz, and all the other things are in the contract that I sent you a copy.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Usually we will shake hands at this point, but I guess that we had to do. And we have plenty of witnesses online that they witnessed this stream. So thank you very much to all of you for participating. And that concludes with this part of the ritual. After Passover, we're going to meet again on Zoom. Not on Zoom, actually, this is not Zoom. It's called Restream, but you know what I mean. We are going to meet again online, and I will ask you the question. Because if you still want to all the Chametz, that will be the moment to make the full payment for all the value. But we are going to have that conversation after Pesach. Okay?
Okay.
Well, thank you very much
Gotcha.
to the two
Thank
of you
you.
for participating. Thank you to all of you, to my congregants, for participating as well. And remember, we have the first Seder at 5:30. I will start with Kabbalah Shabbat, and then we continue with the online first Seder. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. is a hybrid. We are going to have the services at the Wellington Crescent building, but of course, we also go live. And 5:30 p.m. Saturday, we have the Daily Minyan. And then at 6:15 p.m., we have the second Seder led by Leslie Emery and myself. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Peter, have a blessed Easter.
Thank you. Chag Sameach.
Thank you so much. Everybody,
You as well.
have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.